Hi everybody, this is Mr. Lu. Yesterday we talked about my prediction for 2024. Now that's kind of what I think will happen. Now the world is uncertain and we're often hit with surprises in a positive side and negative side. So today we're going to talk about possible black swans that can happen, more towards the negative side. What are things that could happen, and when they happen, the market will generally have a correction and possibly even a crash. So let's talk about what these events could be, and more importantly, towards the end of video, what we should be doing when those things happen. Okay, most of us. While most of us will be shocked, there are ways that we can do to profit from such events. So let's discuss some of these possible shocks that could happen in 2024. So number one on the list is the resurgence of inflation. Now, can inflation come up again? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Now, you're going to say, hey, Mr. Lu, I thought you say for sure mathematically inflation will come down. Yes, provided prices don't jump higher again. Now, what can cause prices to jump high again? Well, there are many things that could jump high again. Most likely, it will come from what I call a supply side shock, which in most cases is an oil shock. That means that the oil prices shoot up again for some reason. Now, what can lead to it? There could be war. There could be cut down in supply, artificially or something like that. These are supply side shocks that could happen. It has happened before in the past, and it could happen in future, right? So I'll discuss more about these points when we talk about some of the geopolitical events that could lead to this. But inflation resurgence could be also caused by, a stubborn, inflation that has resulted from, a tight labor market, as the consumer go exuberant and start spending money and things like that. What's the chance of this happening? Not high, but the job market is in the US is tighter than normal. In my opinion, that's because a lot of the companies has pulled out of China, which is a great production hub, and returned back to US, okay, or rest of the world. So as they return, the job market that gets tightened up as well. So anything could happen. So, but one thing for sure is that is unlikely to happen from what I call a QE shock. That means a quantitative easing shock. Very unlikely the Federal Reserve will do it again unless there's a huge recession shock or surprise from somewhere. Okay, it's very unlikely from supply side, supply chain blockages again, like what we see in COVID, right? So very unlikely those events could happen. So I think the chances of a inflation resurgence is not high. It can happen, right? I think we should watch this carefully as well. But when these are things that we could see if should happen, okay. So this is the first point, that first surprise in the downside we can see, first shock that could happen. The second thing that could happen in the stock market in the world that will hit the stock market in a bad way is the artificial intelligence hype turned out to be a fad and fizzle off. So a lot of the analysts and economists and market players are now predicting that artificial intelligence will take off in a big way. But Scully, right, just in case AI turn out to be a non-event, what will happen is that Nvidia will crash. Magnificent Seven, right, the seven leading stocks of S&P 500 will crash or at least correct, and that will lead to a massive downward, fall in the stock market. Can AI lead to a fad? Well, my opinion is that probably not, because artificial intelligence turned out so far has been helping a lot of companies in their productivity. Generative AI is so far been very good. I am a big believer of it. I've seen companies that benefited from it. I'm putting a lot of hope on this. So, but it could happen. It could happen. It's just like a .com bust, right? We're going to talk about that in subsequent videos. But if AI turn out to be a fad, then we could actually see a correction or a crash. On the geopolitical front, let's not talk about those more far-fetched one like China invade Taiwan and that kind of thing, right? I think more likelihood is that the Hamas-Israel war escalates as Iran steps in, right? And now, if Iran were to step in, Israel will likely step up the engagement and do a preemptive massive strike. And then there's a good chance that US will side Israel, especially if Donald Trump becomes the president again. He's a very pro-Israel president. And when US come and rescue Israel, guess what? The rest of the Arab country will stand up to join all to gang up against Israel. And then the one thing they could do, which they've done in the past, is to weaponize oil. So they cut down the supply of oil, send the oil shock down, then the whole world will go into an oil shock frenzy, and after that, inflation spiked up, and then the rest you have heard it before, right? And then interest rates spiked up, and then market crash and things like that. I hope this won't happen. Okay, I hope this won't happen, but it could happen. It could happen. And it could happen, in a very unexpectedly fast and rapid way, and in a time where we don't expect, right? So it's hard to say. So what's the likelihood of this happening? It can happen. I can't even put a number to it, right? So if that day should happen, market will have a high chance of having a correction or a crash. Another black swan that could happen is Donald Trump wins the election, right? Now, there's a lot of forces at play to stop him from even participating in what we call the primaries, right? To be even representing his party. But supposing that Donald Trump wins the election, most likely he's a very drastic president, and he already said what he wants to do. So first of all, he will likely cut down his support, may even end his support on Ukraine. His point is this: in this war so far, Ukraine, the US has sponsored $100 over billion. The rest of Europe only supported $20 billion. And the collective GDP of Europe is the same as US. Why should US come up with 5 times or more support to Ukraine? So most likely he'll cut down his support on Ukraine, and as a result, what will happen? Russia most likely will take advantage of it and counterattack in a big way, and then the whole of Europe will go into a frenzy, and then there'll be turmoil, and the world will go messy at that point in time. So there's one scenario could happen. If that were to happen, it's very difficult to tell what the impact is to the stock market, but I don't think it'll be good. Okay. The other thing Trump would likely do is he will launch another trade war with China. Right? China now is so economically sick that they can't fight back. So this is the best time for Donald Trump to negotiate with China, and if China, because of nationalistic feelings, refuse to give in to him, guess what? In Chinese, we'll say 趁他病要他的命. So it's basically say that when the other party is sick, go for the kill. So if he does that, then we will see we'll see trade wars. Trade wars usually don't happen one-sided. Then the other side will fight back and things like that. Gets ugly. And then when that happens, China might weaponize their holdings of US bonds and sell out a lot and things like that. Crash the bond prices. And things like that, and then stock market go in a frenzy. Hard to say. It's going to be ugly, right? So, but most likely, if you take a step back, US right now is winning the global race, right? US right global race. US now is far ahead of the rest, right? Economically, is fantastically strong. Everything is strong. In fact, it's a red hot economy that have to cool down. Russia is in trouble because of involvement in the Ukraine war. The whole world has gathered together and sanctioned them. China is in trouble. Okay, Europe is in trouble. The rest of Asia, the rest of Southeast Asia doesn't matter to it. So US has won the big time already. So in that sense, Donald Trump don't need to extend the lead further. So he's a strong businessman. There's a good chance that if he becomes a president, he will negotiate deals in a way that although will favor US, I think will at least benefit the stock market, right? So we'll see, right? We'll see. I don't think he want to crash the stock market. So but it's hard to say because sometimes it's quite unpredictable. So we got to watch and see some of these signals. The other most likely thing that will happen is that interest rate cuts that we all predicted didn't materialize or did materialize in the extent that we wished for. And as a result, the interest rate remains high and cause, the likelihood of recession to increase. Can this happen? Yes, I think this chance of this happening is the highest. That means the interest rate, instead of everybody predicting 3 to 4 cuts, only happen 1 cut and happen at the end of this year and things like that. So if that will happen, then we will see a very disappointed stock market. So these few days, the stock market has not been exciting, has gone down. So somewhat, these are market turbulence and turmoil. I think some volatility is always expected in the stock market, especially in times like this. But I think this risk might be a high risk. But I would say that my personal view is that interest rate cuts is going to happen. We just don't know when is it. So the market is building some expectation that is maybe overly optimistic. So there'll be a lot of volatility when it comes to unfulfilled expectation. Okay. So of all these things that could happen, and if they do happen, the stock market would have a correction and at worst a crash. So what do we do? Right? So market crashes and market rises are part and parcel of the entire stock market game, right? We actually wish that some of these crashes happen so they have a chance to fire and buy, right? And if not, the market just go up and up, you just don't have all these chances. So it will be a great opportunity for us to fire shots again if the market crash. Now, someone say, but Mr. Lu, I don't have money. Start accumulating dry powder right now. 2024 should be a year that you quickly accumulate dry powder, right? Accumulate savings, accumulate bonuses and things like that. For an event like such as this, it could happen, not saying it will happen, it could happen. If it happens, you're ready and fire, right? It may happen in 2024, 2025 or 2026. I don't know when. But I can tell you for sure, a crash will come, for sure. But if it does come, you're ready, right? So, if you have, and someone said, Mr. Lu, when it crashed, I don't dare fire. You know why? Because number one, you didn't build a financial safety net. So start building a financial safety net with your CPF. I talked about it many times. Accumulate your special account and your MediSave account. And second is that if you accumulated a dry powder, you'll be itching to fire. And when it comes, you'll be happy. Because you didn't accumulate enough dry powder, not enough reserves. Therefore, when the day comes, you're scared. If you accumulate enough dry powder, let me say this quotation from Warren Buffett. To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When the day comes, you just can't wait to just slam dunk, right? So my advice to everybody is, accumulate dry powder, wait patiently for a day of reckoning to come. When a shock comes, and I don't know when it will come, but it comes, you are ready, okay? And what you don't want to do is to be caught. If then someone may ask, Mr. Lu, but what about my stocks? It will crash. Well, be prepared for volatility, and that's all part and parcel of the game. I think Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger will say this: if you're not prepared for a major correction, then you shouldn't be in the stock market at all. It will happen, for sure. It will happen. But fortunately, over 100 years, the S&P 500 or Nasdaq has a very long history of exponential increase over 10, 20, 30 years. So I think it's okay. You must have the guts to do it. So I hope that this analysis of possible shocks give you a psychological preparation that it could happen. This is not advice for you to buy or sell, but it's general education. And if you find that my sharing is useful, please give me a like and hit subscribe. Okay, and I'll see you in a day or two. Okay, and goodbye.